Hey guys, this is yet another tutorial day. Today I'm going to talk about hard cases for models, how to use them, what they're used for, and how you get them. So this is a hard case. They're generally referred to as either supply cases along that lines, or there's also pistol cases technically. This is a pistol case, and then this is a supply case. This is bought at Harbor Freight. I believe it was $30. So yeah, these are a little expensive, but they're generally used for more fragile slash. So this is a little bit bigger than the pistol case. The main difference between the pistol cases and the normal supply cases, obviously they look pretty much the same, is that these generally have one thicker layer of foam, and these have 4 smaller layers of foam. So for example, this one, I'll open it up. So this has one single layer of foam in it. These are just like little extras for small areas. But basically what we do with these is they have what's called pick-and-pluck foam. So it's like little squares basically, and you can pick these out and make it in the shape of your horse, and then from there you put the horse inside. The one recommendation on this case is that it only comes with one layer of pick-and-pluck foam, so when you push it all the way down, there's still a lot of empty space, which we don't want, because otherwise the horses will go up and down and they will break. So what I do is I take this layer of foam out once I'm done, and then I take just a simple layer of regular squishy foam. I line it with fabric. This is about 1 inch thick. So I line this with fabric, put this back, and then this is full up, so the horse isn't gonna move around nearly as much. This is lockable, although I haven't really figured out how to do it yet. So, and I mean, I really don't have a need to necessarily lock it. This I fit 2 small classic size chinas in. I probably could fit like another full china in here, but frankly, these 2 horses were both expensive. So I want as much padding on them as possible. So this, I could say, would probably fit maybe 1 traditional and 1 like smaller thing, couple classics, and then a bunch of minis. If it's an expensive horse slash breakable horse, it's definitely worth it. This one has a handle. I don't know if I'm actually going to use it or not, but it's in there. And it has little dividers as well, because this was made for like tools and cameras. So this one required a little bit of customization to use. Basically what you want is you want at least 1 layer of pick-and-pluck foam, the egg crate foam on top, which is this stuff, and you want it to be flush with the top so there's not a lot of room for the horses to jiggle around in. And the one annoying thing about this one is that there's a big glued label on top, and it leaves a ton of residue, and I am still working on taking that off, but it is a pain, so you have been warned. But, so you're probably thinking, alright, how the hell do I do this? That's why we're here. So, this is a pistol case. Basically the same general idea, just a little bit smaller. This one I bought on eBay. Warning about pistol cases. If you're gonna use these, do not leave these unattended in your car, anywhere that they can be seen out in the open, because people know what these are, people assume that there are guns in there, and hobbyists have had their horses stolen because they were left unattended in gun cases by people thinking they were guns. So if you use these, make sure to keep them in your trunk or under blankets or something along those lines, because you do not want to get your horses stolen. So anyways, with these gun cases, I do either 2 layers of minis or 1 layer of smaller horses. This one is where I do 1 layer of smaller horses. So we have 4 separate layers in here. So I'll take them all out. So this is the top layer that I use as extra padding, and there's 1 little cutout because the horse I put under here, my Hagen-Renneker Miss Pepper, so she's lying down, so her hooves stick out a little bit, so I added that little space, but she's still padded by the egg crate foam on top. And then for the actual horses, they get 2 layers of this foam, so I cut them out, and then, so you got 1. As you can see, I messed up on some of these, so I'll tell you about how to avoid messing up. So 2, and then we finally have that 1 layer of foam underneath. And it's important on any case to make sure that all sides are padded. So let's get this party started. As I mentioned, these cases are generally used for fragile horses, chinas, artist resins, and really fragile drastic customs with a lot of epoxy that can potentially crack. So for these, I've generally been using them for chinas. I also have one for, if you know Omen, my zombie horse, he has a case. I have one space in here that I want to add a new horse. So we have my lovely victim today. This is Pocket Change. He is a Hagen-Renneker Harry from the Designer's Workshop series. He was a flea market find last year, which I was totally psyched about, for $2, so that's why he's called Pocket Change. And I'm planning on going to a China show for the first time in the summer. So I bought the cases and I want them to get to their destination safely. So I have 3 horses in here already. So in this one I could potentially fit him here and possibly 2 minis. Now you don't want to cram these too much, but with smaller models it's a little bit easier to fit more in. There's 2 things you can do to get the outline done. First, you can just use some sort of pen. Like right now I just have a silver Sharpie, white pencil, white charcoal pencil, anything along those lines can work. And you basically just trace along the outline of the horse, or in this case donkey. But you gotta be really careful to not get any pen on them. And if you're gonna be using the pen, I'd recommend flipping the foam over and doing it on the back, so that way he'd be like this, only because you'll have silver markings all around it and it just doesn't look nice. What I generally prefer to do now, the guess and check sort of thing, where I place the horse on the foam, take the foam, I start plucking it out, usually 1 or 2 squares at a time, and just getting the general shape. Start with that. So as we said, Harry's gonna be about here. So I kind of spread the foam a little bit just to kind of line him up with the edges. This is where that leg is ending. So I'm just gonna gently, basically just push down on the edges of the foam because it's already been pre-scored. Take it out. So now I know that's where his back left leg is gonna be. So we kind of just build off from there. So I know these 3 on top are gonna have to come out too. Basically just keep measuring up, checking, and plucking where needed. Then eventually we will have a horse shape. Pausing it up for a second here. So I basically have the general outline of Harry now. And there's one thing here where there's a little bit of his muzzle on this square, but it's not really enough to necessarily take the square out. So what you can do is you can just take a pair of scissors and snap the edge off. So that way his muzzle is flush, but you're not taking out too much space. So Harry now has his own little space that's in his shape. If this were one of just the regular run-of-the-mill cases with 1 layer of foam, we'd be done. But since this is a pistol case and it has the 4 single layers of foam, I'm going to take it out and I'm basically just going to copy that layer. For certain ones though, you don't necessarily have to copy it exactly. For example, the space that I mentioned earlier from Miss Pepper, she's lying. So her ears only really reach up to here, so I left this piece solid, so that way her ears are resting on it versus just being in the air. So you can do like a multi-level effect, if you will. Basically, just line them up and pick out from there. Ta-da! Double layer. So just like we did with the top layer, we're gonna snap out that little piece over here with the scissors. Doesn't have to be exact, but generally the same. And then if you messed up, that's fine. Sometimes if you don't line them up correctly, you'll think that it's shifted down a layer when in reality it's not. So for example, I went a layer too far on this one. You can just take the extra foam, stick it right back in, and it should stay pretty secure. And just double check to make sure everything still fits okay. which it does. Right, so that's the finished product. Just have, these are a little bit thicker because of the 2 layers, so it gives it a little bit more breathing room, I guess you could say. That's how it's done. But if you want to go an extra mile further, we have our pal, the label maker. So obviously this isn't plugged in, so it doesn't work right now. But you know, obviously I'm sure you know how to use the label maker. You type in the name, you print the label, and I have all the labels. Can you see that? I have labels on here with the horses that are inside. So since I have multiples of certain cases, I can say, oh, that case has XYZ. So basically I would just print out a little label that says pocket change and put it there. So that way I know that pocket change is in there. Generally, I'd recommend that in these cases you group like with like. So example, artist resins with artist resins, OF Chinas with OF Chinas, custom glazed Chinas with custom glazed Chinas. Because if you kind of mix everything up, say you go to a show and there's a custom division, but there's no artist resin division, and you have 5 artist resins and 1 custom in the case. So now you're bringing this giant case for 1 teeny tiny little custom. It's a waste of space. So that is basically it. In the description I have a link to the case I mentioned earlier from Harbor Freight. If you're looking for other sizes, just do a simple eBay search for pistol case. They generally run between $30 and $45. Some are bigger, some are smaller. Definitely try to get one that's at least 6 inches wide though, because anything smaller is just going to be too small for a model horse, and you want as much padding as possible in there. So that's pretty much it.